time you come sniff around the old lady here, you're gonna look a damn sight worse than you do right now.
That was a scene from Falling from Grace, the 1992 film that got 4 stars from Roger Ebert. Now, I wrote a column about that same movie, offering viewers their money back if they didn't like it. I'm Richard Roeper, and sitting in for Roger this week is the director and star of that film, and he does a little bit of music as well, John Mellencamp. Thanks for being here, John.
Thanks for having me.
We got some cool movies to talk about. Let's get right to it, and some not-so-cool movies. Our first movie falls into the latter category. It's Vacancy. I have no idea what name stars such as Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale are doing in this uninspired, unoriginal, and chills-free thriller. Wilson plays David, and Beckinsale is his soon-to-be ex-wife, Amy. Now, apparently, these two have never seen any scary movies because they make rookie mistakes like taking a lonely shortcut and stopping at a very isolated gas station.
Do you know another garage?
There's Clark's, about 20 miles east.
Thank you.
Trouble is, Clark's won't be open either. Not this late. Meanwhile, I'm wide open here.
Soon this couple realizes you can check out any time you'd like, but you can never leave. They're about to become the unwitting stars in a snuff film.
Why are you watching them?
Looking for mistakes. They can come in anytime they want. They just watch until they get bored. See, right there. It happens in almost every one of these.
Now comes the part where our heroes do one stupid thing after another so the movie can keep going. David and Amy know the room is wired with cameras and the hotel manager is part of a ring of psychotic killers, so why would he trust the phone booth?
Do you have an address?
It's just some psycho.
You're going to need to settle down, sir. You'll never survive if you lose control, Mr. Fox. And you shouldn't be wandering around in the dark by yourself.
With 2 appealing leads and a nifty opening credit sequence, Vacancy seemed like it had potential, but from the moment of the obligatory car breakdown through the predictable final struggle, this is a slick but lazy effort. The killers aren't really very frightening or clever, the attempts at backstory seem tacked on, and Wilson and Beckinsale spend most of the movie sweating, swearing, bleeding, yelling, crawling, or crying. That's a thumbs down from me.
Well, I didn't really think it was that bad. I actually thought it was kind of, I haven't seen a lot of horror films. So for me, it was, I thought it was okay, and I thought that it was kind of in the tradition of Hitchcock, which I kind of thought, well, that's it. And I loved the opening credits, and I thought that it was not as bad as you think it is.
Well, I mean, I know what you're saying, John, because at the start, you know, the cool opening credit sequence, and you have 2 big-time actors. I mean, they're A-list stars in what is kind of a glorified B movie. But then we just get to that hotel, and nothing happens. The whole, you know, it's just the same thing over and over again, and there, you know, noises on the wall, and a lot of running around, and, you know, I mean...
Hold on for a second. Didn't the same thing happen in Rear Window? I mean, what was really happening in Rear Window, which is, you know, considered one of Hitchcock's best films? I mean, they did the same thing over and over and over again to the conclusion.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I guess it's just how it's done and how it's executed. And in Rear Window, there's a lot of, you know, guessing. Like, what's going to happen? How's it going to happen next? How's Jimmy Stewart going to figure out a way to, you know, potentially stop this crime from happening here? It's just, well, they're getting chased through holes and they're getting muddy and bloody and stuff.
But didn't you think it was pretty real life that the woman was smarter than the man?
Well... Okay.
Pretty real life that the woman was smarter than the man.
Okay, that part I like, but the rest of it, I can't go along with you on this one. I mean, I thought it had some potential. I think, you know, in a movie like that, too, the killers have to be more interesting. And these 2 guys that are chasing them and then they're friends, we don't really get to know that much about them, so they're just sort of like shadowy figures.
You didn't even know who they were, but I think that was probably the point, though.
I think it was.
Shadowy figures. So, you know, they accomplished what they wanted to, you know, to do. To me, it's a thumbs up.
Okay, next movie, John Travolta, James Gandolfini, and Jared Leto. Now, those are some talented stars. They're all in Lonely Hearts. Unfortunately, I haven't seen casting this ill-conceived since the remake of All the King's Men. Now, like the cult favorite The Honeymoon Killers, this film is based on the true life story of the notorious Lonely Heart slayings of the 1940s. Leto kind of overplays it as Ray Fernandez, an oily con man who preys on war widows and lonely single women.
You're even more beautiful than your picture. Stunning.
It's a special day.
Gandolfini and Travolta are the beefy, cynical Nassau County detectives investigating a suicide that might not have been a suicide. But for me, the image of Gandolfini as Tony Soprano is tough to shake, and Travolta's performance as sullen widower Elmer Robinson is so low-key, it's almost dull.
Maybe she's got her claws into him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Can't keep a guy like that down, not for long. He's restless. He wants his life back. He's gonna try to dump her, and when he does, hell's coming home for Christmas.
But the real disaster here is the casting of Salma Hayek as Martha Beck, who becomes Ray's partner in a series of increasingly brutal crimes. Now, in real life, Martha was this obese, complex sociopath. Hayek turns her into a nutball sex pot.
Do it. Proof that you don't love me. Hmm? Oh, come on, baby. You went out. I'll help you. We'll do it together, all right?
Lonely Hearts was written and directed by Todd Robinson. He's the grandson of the real Elmer Robinson. There is some strong work here, but too many misfires. Even with the miscasting of Hayek, the killer storyline is creepy and compelling and shocking, but the police work scenes are mostly dull, and Robinson's relationship problems with his son and his girlfriend are the stuff of soap operas. So I liked a lot of this, John, but I'm still giving it a mild thumbs down.
Well, I thought Travolta was fantastic in it.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he was good. And the guy from The Sopranos, I was over that he was in The Sopranos immediately, but I don't watch The Sopranos. So to me, it was like, this guy's great.
Yeah.
And, you know, Selma Hayek, you know, Bonnie and Clyde were not the most attractive people in the world.
I know.
I thought she was great. Quite honestly, of all the films that I watched for the show, this was my favorite show because what I liked about it, it was done in an old-style pacing. And I loved the pacing, the way the movie went on and the way the story unfolded. I didn't have any trouble following timelines. I kind of felt like maybe I missed it, but I kind of felt like, you know, I was right with them.
Well, you know, you make a good point. I mean, it's my problem if I can't get past Gandolfini, who's a terrific actor as Tony Soprano, and of course, actors over the years, great-looking actors have played people who in real life were plain-looking. But I just think in this case, the case is so infamous, and Salma Hayek, who can be really good, I mean, you know, in this role was really miscast, and part of the motivation for this woman to be so, you know, obsessed with her lover was that she was so insecure. And you're looking at Salma Hayek and you're like, well, who's she going to be threatened by? And they're supposed to be doing these cons where he's going to be seducing these women and she gets jealous, but that's the con,
That's
you know?
an awful sweeping statement, just because a woman is beautiful to think that she couldn't be insecure.
Well, in this role, though, I'm just saying you know, Salma Hayek's persona, to me, just didn't fit this role whatsoever.
I thought she was fantastic, and I enjoyed watching her, and I enjoyed the movie, but I did notice that it's been sitting on the shelf for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, well, you know, and I will say this, too. It's probably a tough sell because it is such a downer of a story. It does have a great look to it. I think maybe they're having a little trouble trying to figure out how to market these big stars in a serious crime drama.
I think that's the problem. It doesn't fit into Hollywood's box anywhere, you know, so they don't really know how to market it.
I did have some problems with the timeline and with the plot, so I'm sticking with my...
Well, I'm going thumbs up.
All right, all right. Later in the show, Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling star in Fracture. Coming up next, Adam Brody joins Meg Ryan in The Land of Women.
Being this great listener, but whenever I, meet somebody new, I find him doing all the talking. What is that?
Maybe you're not really such a great listener.
In The Land of Women is to Michigan what Garden State was to New Jersey. It's smart and it's bittersweet. It's a romantic comedy about a 20-something who returns home from Los Angeles and deals with depression, death, and an unexpected romance. All of it is set to a whimsical, killer hipster soundtrack. Adam Brody from the OC has the Zach Braff role here as the perpetually amused guy. Brody's Carter strikes up a friendship with Meg Ryan's Sarah Hardwick, who lives across the street from his grandmother.
You know, I mean, I want to go back to New York City and sit alone at the Met. Probably more than anything, though, I wish I was the kind of person who would just reach over and just eat that candy bar right here in the middle of the store.
Well, and you should.
Carter also befriends Sarah's teenage daughter, Lucy, who of course hates Sarah because that's how girls of that age often feel about their moms. Rising young star Kristen Stewart perfectly captures a certain kind of tough-talking but smart and sensitive teenager.
Come with me.
Let's not get carried away.
Seriously, I walk in with you, you're older, intelligent, mysterious.
Yeah, mysterious.
And The Land of Women is written and directed by Jonathan Kasdan, son of Lawrence Kasdan of Body Heat, Grand Canyon, and The Big Chill, among others. He has inherited his father's gift for dialogue and for intriguing, smart characters. Though Carter has moments of mutual physical attraction with Sarah and with Lucy, the film never sinks to the level of some leering romp about a mother-daughter Carter love triangle. His relationships with these women are rooted in the sharing of ideas and dreams and disappointments and fears. At times, the story seems almost too carefully crafted and audience-friendly, with perhaps one too many neatly wrapped resolutions. Still, I had a lot of affection and respect for these characters. I like this movie a lot. Thumbs up on this one, John.
Well, I agree with you on this one.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, well, I think it's a sweet film, and I think that it's something to be learned by the story, and I would have liked to had this movie when my daughters were teenagers.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's really knowing about that, because there's you know, there's so much resentment there, and at one point I think Meg Ryan's character says something like, you know, I don't even know how this started. You know, you've been mad at me for like 4 or 5 years, but it just festers and festers, and then I think when they resolve that, it's not too over the top and sentimental.
I can relate to it. I have a daughter named Teddy, and I would get up in the morning and she'd go, "Don't look at me, Dad." So as soon as that little girl had this resentment for no reason, I kind of thought, well, I know that character, so I related to that. But I thought it was a sweet film, and I thought Meg Ryan.
With Meg Ryan, yeah.
I thought she was fantastic, and I thought the guy who played the lead was
yeah, this Adam Brody, you know, a young actor, and he does a nice job, because he's kind of low-key, and, you know, the movie is in the land of women, so they get all the really kind of big, juicy scenes, and he has to kind of react to it, which is hard for a young actor, I think, to say, okay, wait a minute, I'm the star of this movie, but it's really all about their story arcs, and I think he's unselfish as an actor. I will
say you're right. There was one thing that I didn't get. I didn't get the soundtrack.
You didn't like the soundtrack?
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said I didn't get it. I just didn't follow some of the material that was being played.
Well,
I thought they could have done a better job.
I like the music, although, you know, I think sometimes with some of these films, they make the music a little bit too much of a character, so it's like, it's almost like it's cut to the beat of music, so it's like you become too aware of it, and I guess if you are too aware of the music, then maybe it's intruding too much.
I think that's, any time that I notice music in a movie, then I think it shouldn't be there. It's too much.
Good point. All right, coming up next, Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling play cat and mouse in Fracture. Be sure to check out our new website for full-length video replays of each week's reviews 24 hours a day. Visit atthemoviestv.com, the online home of Ebert and Roeper.
You're saying this wasn't an accident?
Looking at movies now in theaters, Hot Fuzz got 2 thumbs up, Disturbia also got 2 thumbs up, and Perfect Stranger got 2 thumbs way down. Next up is Fracture. Now, if Anthony Hopkins is going to play a brilliant killer behind bars who delights in playing mind games with a young law enforcement hotshot, you've got to expect comparisons to Silence of the Lambs. The verdict from me, at least, Fracture isn't even a fraction as good. Hopkins does seem to be having a lot of fun playing the delightfully diabolical Ted Crawford, who shoots his philandering wife point blank in cold blood in his own home. He's not even interested in telling the cops another story.
She all right? I don't think she is. I shot her. You shot your wife? It's just like I suddenly snapped, and I got the gun, and I shot her in the head. I know it was wrong.
That's Billy Burke as Rob, who was having the affair with Ted's wife. Ryan Gosling plays Willie Beecham, the deputy district attorney assigned to the supposed slam dunk of a case.
You look closely enough, and you'll find everything has a weak spot where it can break, sooner or later. You looking for mine? I've already found yours.
David Strathairn does his usual excellent work as the Los Angeles district attorney who knows Willie is about to jump ship to work for a silk-stocking law firm.
I don't like to lose.
You won't always win working at Wood & Sims.
Working at Wood & Sims sort of is winning, isn't it?
I think you belong here, William.
Well, with all due respect, sir, I just didn't work this hard to stay where I belong.
Fracture is an elegant, beautifully shot film that doesn't take itself too seriously. There are some tension-reducing laughs. Director Gregory Hoblit and the writers keep us guessing. We know Ted shot his wife, but we can't figure out what happened to the murder weapon. We also can't believe how stupid that Rob guy is and how Ted could be so brilliant and yet so ignorant of one hugely important legal matter. And let's not even get into the problems with Willie's new boss, a fetching blonde who has him for Thanksgiving dinner in more ways than one. She is one deeply flawed lawyer. This is one flawed film. I have to give it thumbs down.
Well, again, I have to say that, you know, I don't think that it's proper to compare an artist's work against another previous work that he's done. I think you have to look at each piece individually and not say, well, it wasn't as good as his last record. Well, forget his last record. He already did all that.
I mean, I understand that, and you know, John, every time I go to see a movie, first of all, I want the movie to be good. I'm gonna judge it on its own merits. But when you have Anthony Hopkins, who created one of the most famous movie characters of all time in The Silence of the Lambs, Lions, you know, but I mean, you know, it's kind of hard not to say, well, there he is behind bars again, kind of playing a similar role. I mean, they're inviting that comparison, I think, at that point.
Well, you know, look, how many times did Marlon Brando played the same role in those Tennessee Williams films, and we loved him.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's set Anthony Hopkins aside for a second here. What about the plot? I don't want to give too much away here, but there's some of the legal stuff. It just, to me, it seems like, well, at one point this character's so smart, but how could he not know something about the case? And the whole thing about when they finally figure out where the murder weapon was. I just, to me, it's all about the story structure and the screenplay here, and I just think there are too many flaws there.
I didn't see that. I thought that I bought into the fact that he was preoccupied with, and that's how he missed things. He thought he was a big shot. He thought he was a smart guy, and people who know it all usually are the dumbest guys in the room. And I think that that's what happened to this kid in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there is some validity to the way it works there. There's some, arrogance, and then, before the fall, pride and all that stuff. But I just kind of felt like, in a movie like this, there's a lot to recommend, but when you get to that final, that final twist, it really has to pay off. And if it doesn't, for me, I can't recommend it.
Well, I thought that kid was handsome, though, didn't you?
Well,
I mean, he was a handsome guy. There's got to be merit to that.
Yeah, there's always, everybody in this movie is extremely good looking, I'll give you that.
Well, I don't know that everybody was, but I had never seen that kid in the movie before.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling's a good young actor.
I thought, well, this kid's awfully good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a terrific talent. You should check out a movie called Half Nelson that he was in last year. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
so,
I'll do that. Coming up next is a movie that I just discovered that I think is fantastic.
Deliciously smart choice with Raisinets.
That means no fireballs, no explosions, no problemo, Gigantor.
Okay, looking at movies new on DVD this Tuesday. Night at the Museum got a thumbs down. 10 Items or Less, terrific film, got a thumbs up. And Deja Vu got a thumbs down. And John, my video pick this week is The Queen from Stephen Frears. It's a great film. Helen Mirren won the Academy Award for Best Actress. It really captures that time in 1997, right after Princess Diana was killed. And the entire country and the entire world was mourning her, but the royal family just really didn't understand what she meant to people, and I think it just beautifully captures it.
Well, the film that I picked was a film that has been out for a long time, a film called Grey Gardens. And I just thought it was as close to Tennessee Williams as we are going to get in movies that I have seen recently. The odd thing is that it came out in 1976.
Right.
And where the hell was I that whole time that this movie existed? But watch this scene of little Edie here.
I missed out on the reunion of my graduating class in Farmington because that was the fall that Jack Kennedy campaigned to get in. And I was stuck here with Mother the Cat, the house, and T. Logan.
Well, it's a fascinating documentary. Of course, the Maisel brothers, they did Monterey Pop, and they did Gimme Shelter, and they are kind of old-school documentary filmmakers. They're not injecting their opinions or values into it. They're letting the camera tell the story, and these two women are so fascinating. And you're right, the Tennessee Williams comparison, I think, is absolutely dead on, because the dialogue, at first you're thinking, oh, they're just rambling on, and then you realize that there's some sort of, like, poetic madness to what these women are saying in their exchanges. And, of course, this thing has become a Broadway play. It's now going to be a movie with Drew Barrymore and Jessica Lange.
Have you seen the Broadway production?
I have not. It
is fantastic, and I have a thick skin. And I had tears in my eyes at the end of it.
Really?
And I don't know, how could you not love Little Edie?
I mean, there's this whole cult around this, and people talk about it, and they embrace this film so much, and I'm thinking, this is it? We're just going to see these two women kind of around this ramshackle house? But after the film, you find yourself thinking about these women and about the way they express themselves and their whole culture and their lives, and it's just amazing stuff. It really is.
Well, and you don't really know who's telling the truth, which is so, Tennessee Williams. Who's really telling the truth? Who's lying? Whose life is it, that they're talking about? It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's an amazing film. So Grey Gardens is available now. The Queen will be in stores on Tuesday. And we'll be back to recap this week's show right after this.
Closed captioning for Ebert and Roeper is sponsored by...
Okay, recapping the movies on this week's show. We split on Vacancy. We split again on Only Hearts. 2 thumbs up in The Land of the Women. And we split on Fracture. And I have to say, I think Richard's wrong on all accounts. But, that's okay. I mean, he has an opinion, I have an opinion.
Well, that's what this is all about.
That's what makes the world go around, huh?
And speaking of opinions, John, the man, Roger Ebert's latest book is called Your Movie Sucks. It's a collection, actually, of you know, some brilliant writing about some films that didn't quite get the thumbs up.
Yes,
so
but I'm sure he found nice things to say about all of them.
Well, you know, I'm trying to learn from him and from you. So thanks so much. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Until next week, the balcony is closed.